Well, talk about a total meltdown. There's no better time for it than Donald Trump picking Easter Sunday to go after his political enemies. And that means the free press, those who are just trying to make sure that he upholds his end of the bargain of the rule of law in our constitutional republic. And instead, he's decided that since the only thing that polling shows is effective with his base, and it's really just one thing on immigration, where he is, according to a CNN poll, +1 in favorable, unfavorable. He's underwater considerably when it comes to the economy and everything else. He's decided to just completely lean in to immigration. And what he wants the American people to believe is a lie. He's selling a lie. And the lie is that the Democrats are for criminals and he is for making sure criminals are taken off the street and the ends justify the means. Let me make this clear. Democrats, moderates, free-thinking people, people who believe in our form of government, believe that the president should be restrained when he's out of control by a federal judiciary. And we believe that every person is presumed innocent until they are proven guilty in a court of law, not in a press conference, not in a social media tweet, not with things taken out of context that are actually false about the person that the prosecutors are prosecuting. Isn't it enough that the United States of America, with almost unlimited resources, is prosecuting a defendant, a criminal defendant, or in this case, somebody who's about to be deported? Isn't that enough? You can't get your act together enough to prove your case in front of a black-robed person of some sort with due process and notice, then you are a disgrace. We here on Legal AF fight for democracy, for the rule of law, for due process, because we want to live in a world where there's not star chambers and kangaroo courts and banana republics. We do it because we believe in process, in the Constitution. Wait till I read to you what he wrote on Easter Sunday. He knows his disgusting, depraved aspects know no boundaries. I know boundaries. I bring it to you here on Legal AF. Have I mentioned that we're a subscriber kind of based process and platform ourselves? It's not just Truth Social. And the way you can counteract Truth Social is hit the subscribe button here. It's free, but as we continue to grow, your voices are heard more, right? The bigger we get, the more your voice is heard here on Legal AF. We're doing 70,000 new subscribers every month. Be the 70,000th and one. Then you'll get the reminders when we do new hot takes like this one at the intersection of law and politics. Let's go to it. I'm going to go through methodically Trump's presidential Easter post. I mean, the church groups that support him, should be ashamed of themselves. There's no other way to put it. I'm not of that faith, but this is Christian. This is the gospel according to Jesus Christ. Okay, let me read to you out loud. And this is all off of a series of orders. There's at least 2 of them now at the United States Supreme Court against Donald Trump. If you add it up, it's about 30 separate federal judges in the last 2 weeks, all against Donald Trump at the appeals level, at the trial court level, at the United States Supreme Court level. 2 different Supreme Court decisions, one 7-2, one 5-4. 2 different rulings by the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, 3-0 apiece. Judge Zinnes, Judge Boasberg. Add it up. This is the fight for democracy, right? Donald Trump uses the Constitution like a doormat. No, a doormat gets better treatment. But we are the foot soldiers to defend the Constitution. Now watch my going through each of these lines and I'll tell you the truth. Radical lunatic Democrats, again, leaning in to what he thinks is politically expedient for him and is scoring cheap political points. And their comrades, see the Russian communism there, in the fake news media, that's the Fourth Estate, that's freedom of the press, are falsely making Kilmer Armando Abrego Garcia. By the way, his family and he goes by Armando Abrego Garcia, out to be a very sweet and innocent person, which is a total, blatant, and dangerous lie. Okay. But we've done the reporting about Mr. Abrego Garcia. He came to this country. He escaped El Salvador after his parents, running a successful business, were shaken down by MS-13. MS-13 will kill him, and they forced him to be in that gang. He came to this country. He was given a protective status by not one, but two different immigration courts. And he was given an order to prevent him ever to have the United States remove him to El Salvador, which is exactly where, knowing about that order, the Trump administration sent him. Right? He was picked up by being an alleged MS-13 member because he was wearing a Chicago Bulls hat and a certain type of sweatshirt. The confidential informant, unnamed, who ratted him out to a cop in Maryland, said he was a member of a Western New York gang. The guy lives in Maryland with his wife and two children, all U.S. citizens. The cop that took in the confidential informant information has been drummed out of the police for fraudulent reports and other things. And it was double hearsay to begin with, right? The confidential informant tells the cop tells somebody in court. I mean, this doesn't even satisfy any hearsay exception. And what Donald Trump doesn't like, and he was picked up while he was waiting for work, and he had his 5-year-old with him by ICE originally. Okay, let's move on. Garcia has been found by two separate courts to be a member of the violent killer gang MS-13. That's a lie. That's a lie. The best one immigration court could come up with, based on that double hearsay I just told you, of an unnamed confidential informant being squeezed by a corrupt cop in Maryland, was that he was wearing a Chicago Bulls outfit, which indicates that he's a member of the Western group of Tren de Aragua, which is located in upstate New York, while the guy was living in Maryland. Do you see the problems there? And then the appellate court, when it got it, it made sure that he would never be removed to El Salvador because they believed him when he said his family was part of being shaken down by MS-13. Or actually, I said Tren de Aragua before. That this confidential informant said he was a part of the Western region, Western gang of MS-13. It is despicable and un-American for liberals and the mainstream media. To be clear, I am a moderate at best. I am a Kennedy, Clinton moderate. Sure, there's things, especially on social issues, women reproductive issues, and other things, that I am a card-carrying member of the American Civil Liberties Union, including First Amendment. I also believe in personal protection related to guns, just to make that clear about where I sit in the First and Second Amendment. But let me continue with Trump for a moment. We don't hate the country. We love our country. We just know what country that we reside in. I saw the recent polling by CNN. More than half, 60+% of MAGA that support Trump hate our country. They don't respect, and they apparently want to leave the country our founding fathers and framers created. They don't believe in the rule of law. They don't believe in the separation of powers. They don't believe that the federal courts have a role in restraining an out of control president. They think judges should be impeached, not Donald Trump. They fell asleep in high school during separation of powers and the checks and balance system. So it's not us that doesn't love America. It's Donald Trump has the dirty trick of Donald Trump, maybe his greatest one, is to convince his followers to hate our country and our structure of government. It is despicable and un-American for liberals in the mainstream media to hate our country so much and be obsessed with protecting criminals. I am obsessed with the rule of law. I am obsessed with constitutional due process and Fifth Amendment rights. Maybe it's because I've been a criminal defense lawyer back in the day. Maybe it's because I've been up against an out-of-control set of prosecutors, okay, who have all of the resources in their favor against one single defendant in one single law firm. And it's asymmetrical. And the only thing that stops an out-of-control prosecutor or out-of-control government or president is the safeguards of the Constitution. Whether it be you're presumed innocent until proven guilty, whether it's Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, whether it's Fifth Amendment privileges about due process and the right to notice, and habeas corpus petitions in case you are incarcerated so that you can get before a federal judge. We have that and a body of constitutional case law stretching back to the 1800s that give protections to the accused, whether you're undocumented accused or you're criminal accused or whatever you are. Look, Abrego Garcia was never charged or convicted of a crime in El Salvador. He was never convicted or charged with a crime in America. That's the truth. So to continue to call him because he's wearing a Chicago Bulls shirt, a member of MS-13, is just Donald Trump trying to use sleight of hand, right? Here's the trick. Nothing up my sleeve, even the Constitution, to try to tar and feather this guy and undermine his family because he's losing. Donald Trump is losing in the public eye, this case. So now they got to tear him down. They got to lie about him. Oh, he beat his wife. Well, look at the records related to that and what the wife did after she dismissed the case. And at this moment, I'm not here to comment on his marriage. Yeah. If she took him back and is out there, as we've seen her, trying to get him home, trying to get the husband of her 2 children home, who am I? Who am I to undermine or malign that? Let's continue with Donald Trump. Instead of working to keep our border, streets, and families safe, we're protecting the rule of law. As I've said before, we are not in favor of Abrego Garcia being let out of a detention center upon arrival. I'm not expecting him to share a meal with his family. I am expecting him to be in America, released as ordered by a Supreme Court ruling from an El Salvadoran jail we put him in, and to let him get before a judge, an Article III judge in a black robe. I do demand that. That is the brand of patriotism and democracy and rule of law that I subscribe to. So we're for that. It's process we're talking about. It's constitutional protections, not whether. And if you have the goods on the guy, then bring it and deport him and remove him and send him to someplace not named El Salvador, and you're done. Those lying to the American people on behalf of violent criminals. The only one lying to the American people is Pam Bondi, Donald Trump, Stephen Miller in the Trump administration and their regime. They're lying to the American people and trying to get the news cycle in their favor about this guy because they're refusing to release him from a prison in El Salvador that they have the complete control over. And then he makes the threat. Those lying to the American people will be held responsible by the agencies and the courts. I think he means the Department of Justice and the courts. Okay, well, that's the other firewall that protects our democracy. Federal judges are working overtime at the trial court level, at the district court level, to protect the constitutional rights and the rights of people provided them by Congress. That's what we're watching. What Pam Bondi and Carolyn Levitt, the press secretary, call out of control, rogue, liberal, leftist, Marxist judges is nothing more than judges doing their day job, and sometimes their night and early morning job, to keep an out of control, lawless presidency on the straight and narrow, or at least constitutionally functioning. Let's just call it out here. Is it great for the Legal AF channel that I got to talk about constitutional crises every morning, noon, and night from a content standpoint? Sure, if that was my programming goal. But I would love to retire the show. If Trump disappeared tomorrow, boom. Listen, we just lost one of my favorite people in the world, and maybe yours too, this morning with the Pope passing. I'm Jewish, but he was my favorite Pope. I'll leave it at that. And I didn't like the fact that J.D. Vance went to go visit him. And I'm sure that didn't help. I saw what J.D. Vance did with the college football trophy. Let's just leave it at that. However, if he didn't exist and we didn't have that boogeyman and we didn't have the assault on our Constitution and the war against our Constitution, it would be a different show. It would be a different community, a different fellowship. But we did not ask for this fight. But we will finish it in a way that will make our framers and founders proud. And I'm proud to have all of you with us here. Take a moment, hit that. Have I mentioned it lately? I think we pop it up now, the little red button. Boom. That's our subscription button. Hit the free subscribe button and help us continue to grow this pro-democracy channel. We're adding 70,000 a month, and that's all because of you. The bigger we get, the more content I'm going to be able to bring on, the more contributors who are going to be attracted. We've already added 3 new contributors in the last 2 weeks. I got 2 more joining in May, and another big announcement I'm not ready for yet, but people you're going to love who are going to come here doing regular work on Legal AF. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.